Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, I love it, I love my HBCU.
And man,
I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
yeah, man,
I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and A.B. Drew to get you in your morning going. As we know what took place this past week, we had games on Friday and Saturday, big games, championships on the line. So we'll get in a little bit about that talking, and we have at the end of the show, we'll talk about who's next in line to see if they can put themselves in positions to win championships. With that being said, welcome to episode 742 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. As you know, we just like to call it, in short, HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live, as we like to do on our Tuesday and Thursdays. But we are in our home, beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody in. As we say, today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational, and data analytics. Charles, oftentimes in the show on Sundays, we do On a Ledge. We also now have moved that to the mid-major division. Now it's to the point where you move from the ledge. I guess you still have some people on the ledge, some people jumping off the ledge. But now you got to the point where the folks that are remaining that hadn't had to do that, whether they chasing championships, now you get the rumor mill. It's going strong. So I had calls this morning, which kicked me off just a little bit as we trying to get that under control. And, those are very confidential conversations. So I'll leave that right there so I won't get us, certainly myself, in any real trouble. But you see, last time I put this on the season, I had a nephew playing on the team, and they had won the division. We're heading, at that time, they were heading to FAMU. Well, it's that time again. I'll leave it right there. So it's appropriate that we bring out some of these cigars for these folks, as we open things up for getting victories, because victories are hard, as we know, in the conference. Now, some of the scores may not look it like that, but the week leading up to get to the point where you can have those scores, they certainly like that. And then you have other times where it goes down the wire. So let's get some of these shots out here appropriately. Starting with Friday, I got a chance to go down to Raleigh. I want to give a shout out to North Carolina Central. I got to add another golf cart. They took care of me. Those folks know what it means to be hospitable. The fans, the administration, all those that are involved, SIDs, Maurice, sent an email, answered immediately, telling me the updates, directions. Got my media passes, no problem. Moved around, plenty of time on the field, talking to both coaches, wishing them the best. Got to chime with Jay Walker, Tiffany Green, in terms of they were doing their prep and getting around there. Trey Oliver. It was a big deal. You could tell that was a big game. Both bands came down there. Really good crowd in terms of what took place there. So very entertaining. So shout out. Cigar goes to South Carolina State. Charles, you went down there when I got a South Carolina State golf cap. It's in the office, so I can't show that. Or I might would have had it put that on to shout them out on a big victory, setting up major game that we'll talk about at the end of the show. So cigars to them, cigars to Delaware State Hornets. They continue to win. Cigars to Jackson State, put themselves in a position. Cigars to Alabama State as they keep rolling, putting themselves in a position so things will go down to next week on the eastern side. Cigars to Alcorn that was in a battle burn buster going back and forth as they get it done against Grambling, knock them off the ledge. Texas Southern sweating bullets, but they get a cigar because they are still in a position to get to 500. They also are not the team that lost to a team that hadn't won a conference game yet, but boy, was it with Tuck, had to lead, lost the lead big, came from behind a lot in that game, so it'll be interesting if anybody puts that on the ledger. So that was something there. Shout out to FAMU going to Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M, to their credit, is still fighting. Made it difficult to Rattlers, but the Rattlers was like, no, we need this victory. We trying to get to over 500 to close things out. So they still put themselves in a position to make that an option for them. So that was big in terms of what that looks like. Did I forget somebody?
Yes.
Yes. I
got a couple.
Thinking about this purple and gold down there in Texas. Prairie View has got it done as they've clinched and won the Western Division. So shout out to Coach Jackson, AD Golf, part of the team that put that package together. And Golf is doing well as he's won a regular season SWAC volleyball championship. So shout out to him. I also want to give some love, mid-major cigars. Johnson C. Smith. I won't go too deep in that. I'm sure AD is going to spin it around on one of those, if not both, as Benedict was respectful, but at the end of the day, trophy goes to Albany State. The Golden Rams get it done. So enough of my cigars. I think we covered most of those that got it done, got it out there.
Did you say the Braves?
Yes.
You mentioned, okay, I'm sorry. I missed winners of almost 4 straight now.
Charles, I think he's trying to send subtle jabs at you because that.
I get it.
It's like later in the show. Can we get to the fourth segment? Let's get to the first.
Watch this, Doc.
That's Big Brother Mike. You know what he do.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a cigar out to. We talk about the marching sport, but the Ocean of Soul and Human Jukebox. They had a fifth quarter last night. Oh my goodness, it's viral. So shout out to the Ocean of Soul. That car wash, that was
I did hear that. I did see that. So shout out Rolls Royce to both of them.
Yeah.
But here in marching sport, we gotta declare a winner. Who are you declaring as a winner, Charles?
Ooh, that's hard because the jukebox had a Marvin Gaye song. Oh my God, that's hard.
It's hard, but it's
I would lead that to the band heads, but that car wash and the motion of the ocean.
Pick a side. You know.
I'm going with Texas Southern on that one.
All right. Shout out cigars go to the Ocean of Soul for this segment in terms of, as we say in marching sport, we declare a winner.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It wasn't. They didn't have both bands there, so there was a feature on high school band. Willow Ridge High School Band in Houston, Texas. They bought it down. So I want to give the Thunder, man, you would have thought they were a small HBCU college, but man, they performed. Willow Ridge High School Band. I want to give them a cigar.
Good one. Cigar, even though you shouldn't be giving cigars to teenage folks.
Minors.
But
I'm talking about they banned.
We're gonna just go subtly ignore that. One final. I know this was off the radar. I was trying to sell it. Somebody was gonna get a conference victory, and that conference victory goes to the Morgan State Bears as they defeat Norfolk State 35-28. Man, they find a way. And another one is shout out to Kentucky State for not messing it up. They did what they needed to do, and they did it in fine fashion. Drew will be telling you to watch D2 playoffs tonight. But let me go ahead. I'm gonna get it to you. I'll start out with you, Drew. What were your thoughts in terms of this weekend?
Since everybody else has done a band shout out, I need to get my band shout out in then also. To Benedict Band of Distinction. I hadn't seen them at all this year. first time I've probably seen them in 2 years. But oh my God, I forgot how good they are until I watched them yesterday down at Albany State. You talking about a band who can bring it, precision. I mean, they have everything that you want in a small college band, y'all. If you have not seen the band of distinction, the heck with the football team, which is good, but that band of distinction, they are second to none when on the Division II level.
Good stuff. Keep going. What else is your thoughts in terms of the big matchup on the field? Where were you going?
First of all, I want to, and I know we'll get into the breakdown of the game, but if we go give a cigar for somebody, Dr. Cavil, I don't know who that young man was, but Friday night in the South Carolina State North Carolina Central game, when the South Carolina State quarterback looked like he was walking into the end zone in the fourth quarter, whoever that defensive back was who did not give up on the play and tackled him at the half-yard line. I still don't think they got the license plate of that truck that hit him, but which led to a fourth down stand that and thank God for South Carolina State, it did not ultimately cost them that game because that kid would have never lived that down. But to that defensive back who did not give up on that play, that's what you call championship football, everybody. That's what you call playing every play until the whistle. So number one, I want to shout that out. And then just number two, in a game that the Division II championship games turned out to be the opposite of what everybody thought they were going to be. You thought the blowout was going to be in the SIAC championship game, and that game wound up being very competitive. You had a score of every kind damn near in the game. The only thing we was missing was a safety, everybody. We obviously we had touchdowns, we had field goals, we had a block punt for a touchdown, we had a block PAT return all the way to the other end for a 2-point conversion, and I thought we did have the safety in that game. The referee spotted the ball on about the half-yard line. How they goes? I don't know if he got out that end zone, but we had just about everything that you wanted in that game, including drama, as it came down to the last play of the game. But on the opposite side, the CIAA game, oh my God, Joshua C. Smith, way to come in and just take control of that game early. Yeah, it was competitive through the through early second quarter, but Johnson C. Smith just took over. And Curtis Allen, when have we ever talked about somebody who rushed for 180 yards and we were disappointed in his performance?
Oh, great breakdown. Wow. Very good. Very true. Let me go to you, Mike. What's on your mind?
Well, I obviously, we were sitting in the stands. I had a chance to go everywhere in the PVAMU game, and they did what they are supposed to do. They won convincingly. But one thing I'd want to point out, when we started talking about PV in the middle of this year, we were talking about their running backs. Okay. We're talking about that 2 running back committee. These last 3 games, they have really opened up their passing attack. And oh man, I just have to give kudos to Tremaine Jackson and his staff, because they have slowly opened this playbook up. So kudos to PV. I also want to say kudos to Texas Southern. I was watching that game, and that was a tale of 2 games. That was a hell of a game. And it could have went anyway. I thought Southern actually was going, all right, could this be the game that Southern was going to win? They're going to have their last home game. They're going to send those 17 seniors off. But no, not so fast. They had one kickoff play. It was, and it's harder. I thought it was an onside kick, but it was basically a line drive that hit the player's head. They recovered. and
I'm sorry.
He was like, what happened? He was like, well, onside, my first response. But yes, they showed the replay. It was a line drive. It hit the person between the neck and the face and bounced right back. that was the momentum, and unfortunately, TSU ended up coming back in the latter half of the second half. But that was the most weird on-site play I've ever seen in my life. So it hit him in the neck, bounced off into the person's head. I don't think he even called that. I don't know what the intent was. It was a line drive about 5.5 feet off the ground, just a line bullet. So I don't know if he tried
Only
to do
Mike
that
can provide that type of description to the play where everybody was like into it. Before I go to you, Charles, Drew, can you pull back up the chat? I think somebody donated, so I want to pull his up, and then Sneaker Talk, I want to give him a shout out, some acknowledgement. Yes, Mr. Sowell, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right there. I did meet him at the entrance of that bookstore as I was asking him where to go and looking around, and he was getting settled. Came down there. His son, we know Nick, he does it well over there with South Carolina State, but wanted to give him a shout out. Very pleasant individual, watches the show quite often. So appreciate, obviously, the support and continue. South Carolina State salute, as we said, shout out, cigar to Mr. Sowell in terms of getting it done. Had his jersey on. I did not realize that was his son. I was moving around too fast, but we got a chance to talk it up a little bit. And so, man, folks around that MEAC folks, I know different folks have different talks, but the ones I meet are always good. They read it down in those parts, and great game atmosphere. So I want to give him a shout out for sure. Continue to support. We look forward to the matchup this week with Delaware State. We'll see where these guys are going to lean in terms of that matchup. I will say this: anybody can go on the road that's road tested. South Carolina State coach Barry going to be ready. With that being said, pull up Sneaker Talk. So I give him a acknowledgement. I don't even know if you want to call this a shout out. He said, I want to shout out Tennessee State, Aristocratic Bands. So they performed in front of 75 people at yesterday's TSU game. They did their thing.
Sound like a dress
more
rehearsal.
people on the band in the field and in the stands. That's pretty tough. Tennessee State, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Even when they were in the ring for a championship, it didn't work out like that. Without further ado, let me go to you, Charles. I know you want to get your thoughts out there. What stood out to you?
What stood out to me, let me give a shout out to Texas Southern. First time since 2010 that they've beaten Southern in Baton Rouge. So anytime you can break a streak like that over 15 years, you deserve praise. But I guess starting off, you got to give you kudos to Prairie View, SWAC West champions. And like I've said all season, Coach Jack, he's talked the talk and the team has walked the walk. So you have to give kudos out to Prairie View for clinching their spot in the SWAC championship. Yesterday, Jackson State, hard-fought game with Bethune-Cookman. It went exactly how I thought it might go. Spirited effort from Bethune-Cookman. But the brother Leprechaun that sits just outside the vet was working again yesterday. So B.J. Washington, huge interception to seal that game. But Jackson State, 3 running backs, kind of talked about that this past week. 3 running backs that rushed for over 100 yards. So, and we'll see where Jacoby Morgan's health is going forward. But this team is battle tested. It's rounding itself in the championship form that somebody is willing to make a play to keep those championship aspirations in place. So.
Yeah, and as the former head coach of the Houston Rockets would say, never forget the heart of a champion. And you can see that playing out for Jackson State. Credit to them. As I said, cigar shout out to them making the plays at the end. They were running the clock, and it looked like they were going to be able to run the clock, get that first down. As you said, they were really solid in terms of the run all game. But shout out to Bethune-Cookman defensive side. Found a way to force a fumble to give their offense a chance. They move all the way down to essentially the 22. And then Washington takes over with the play of the game for sure and gets it done for Jackson State. Fascinating. Shout out to big analysis by all of you all in terms of key matchups. Fascinating to see what's going on. As we did a little bit of the band tease, I will talk this and say, obviously, the final ranking part of the HBCU Band of the Year came out. We'll go with the D2. We call it the mid-major here. Yeah, Winston-Salem State's Red Sea of Sound is in the 5th spot, 793.5 points. You know, there's 3 areas that measure. So that was broken down in terms of 246, 270.5, and 277 for their 3 areas, again, to give them a total of 793.5. Then you have the Tuskegee Marching Crimson Pipers, earn a total of 800, broken down to 244.5, 285.6, and 270. And you have the Miles Purple Marching Machine in the 3rd spot, coming into this at 828.6. That's 267, 281.1, and 280.5 in terms of how they graded out. You have in that 2nd spot, Fayetteville State, the Marching Broncos Express at 830.75. That's 280, 276, 274.75. And the Bridesmaids that just keep coming and pushing it down to see can they find a way to get into the championship round and this time bring it home. They've been there 2 years in a row, but finished 2nd. They're currently in the top spot, so they are looking to get that championship trophy. The Trojan Explosion at 287.5 in September, 294.2 in October, 296.8. So they are getting better each of the releases. So as we talk about in football and other sports, if you can find yourself playing the best and you can be playing at the end of the season, it's always good. And it looks like the Trojan Explosion is doing just that. So wanted to give them acknowledgement in terms of what that looks like. Division One. We'll go through that in terms of what that looks like in those rankings. Number 5, you just talked about Ocean and Soul, Charles. They were in that Final 5. So
Okay.
you could imagine that what you said about the battle between Southern, the Human Jukebox makes sense because they right here in the mix at 882.96. That's 280.5, 290.27, 312.19 in terms of the breakdown there. Everybody has recognized from us talking about the Spartan Legion of Norfolk State, how they are already in the mix. Well, they're back in the business doing it again. They're at that 4th spot, 913.17. That's 284, 319.37, and 309.8. Holding down that 4th spot. At the 3rd spot, last year's champion, Marching 100 is at 921.27 points totaling, which broken down was 286, 321.57 plus 313.7. Getting back to the Human Jukebox with that legendary battle. You can see why you had top 5 programs going at it yesterday, and they held up today, into the bargain, along with a fascinating football game, 927.74. 299.5, 315.44, and 312.8 in terms of their breakdown. And the first-year champion is at it again, North Carolina A&T, running up last year, the Blue and Gold Marching Machine, ranked at the top. That's 294.13. September, they were at 305, October at 317, in November at 322.9. So they continue to get better. So fascinating when you break this down. We'll see what this means when the final is announced for those 4 programs, 2 from the mid-major, 2 from the major division, that's Division 2 and Division 1, will head to Atlanta for a championship in the battle of the band of the year, I should say. So with that being said, let's take our first break, come back on the other side. We're going to get further into breaking down these scores, see if there's any ledge talk, any Big Ben helmet stickers. We'll talk about that officially on the other side.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Is that champagne? It looks like A. Drew is like, where his cup? Mike,
no, this coffee, bro.
Oh, he just saying he clean. He living a clean life. Charles got his coffee cup. Man, I feel bad. I'm not in the. Let me go get my water because I'm just good at it. I'm a good guy.
Can't never go wrong with water.
That's right. Plenty of it. With that being said,
water's boring. Come on.
Yes, sir, Mike. Yes, sir. Mike is in one of those big brother moves. With that being said, let's pull it up. Let's look at our scores. We'll talk about last week's rankings to remind people quickly of where things going on. And as we get into it, obviously you see the Big Ben. We'll get into the Big Ben sticker. With that being said, last week's top 7 looked like it. Number 7, Grambling State Tigers. At number 6, North Carolina Central Eagles. At number 5, Delaware State Hornets. At number 4, Prairie A&M Panthers. At number 3, South Carolina State Bulldogs. At number 2, Jackson State Tigers. At number 1, Alabama State Hornets. It'll be interesting to see what this week of games did for the top 7, if anything. But let's get into the scores first. Remind folks, breaking down the scores of what took place essentially with those top 7 programs. This is for week 11. Let's get into the number 1 ranking in terms of that team first, which was Alabama State. But before we do that, I wanted to give some love to the mid-majors, sneak them in there because we had championships on the line. So we had number 1, which was the Albany State Golden Rams. Albany, as Mike always liked to remind us. And number 4, you had the Benedict College Tigers, sitting at 9-2, 7-1. Close game, closer than most people thought. With the Golden Rams getting it done, the important part, they hold up the trophy, winning 22-16. So they improve and get to the magical 10-win season, 10-1 on the season, 8-0 in conference. Very impressive. While Benedict Tigers have bounced back, and they're certainly in the championship business. They finished their season at 9-2, and they were 7-1 in the conference race before the championship game. Interesting enough, wanted to sneak in that fact in terms of making sure we acknowledge the Auburn State Golden Rams winning at SIAC Championship 2020-25. Next matchup, our next big game was also a championship. It was the CIAA. This is a picture acknowledging the championship. Coach Gray there. It'd be interesting to see as we talk about fans on the ledge. You can also have fans on the ledge for a different reason in terms of wondering about their championship level coach as they've gotten back in the championship business. Sometimes you can get in the business and get right back out if things don't work your way. But we shall see. I've not been told anything, just saying. With that 16-time SIAC champs, as Eric, Canders reminds us to give him a shout out to those Golden Rams. Let's get into that second championship affair. This one was a upset for many people. 90 years since the Golden Bulls been able to do this in a lot of ways, but they win.
World War II? Damn
yes,
near.
CIAA championship. So a lot of shout outs to Johnson C. Smith, Golden Bulls. Coach Flowers was pushing that program. We saw it, just got bitten last year, but they came back with the ultimate reward, getting it done against number 2. Coming in as the Virginia Unions were the favorite for most folks. But shout out to Stephen G. Gaither. He said this might be just the time of the Bulls. So he hesitated at least on his and said he could see them getting it done. Well, they get it done big in Charlotte. They improved to 10 wins on the season, something they hadn't done in 60-some years. But they improved as 10-1, 6-1. The Golden Bulls defeat Virginia Union 45-21. Virginia Union falls to 9-2, 7-0. Should be interesting what this means for the regional rankings and the final rankings. But we thought both teams were getting in. We certainly understand that both of them will get in here. I also wanted to shout out Kentucky State as they won their game to put themselves in a really solid position as well. But that was some magic from mid-major. We'll take a deeper dive in those matchups on Tuesday. But I wanted to acknowledge that the champ is here. 2 champs are here. One out of the SIAC and CIAA. Let's get into our major division matchups. Before we do that, I think we do have a picture of the Golden Bulls team as they are taking their shot, acknowledging their championship. Congratulations again to the Golden Bulls for getting it done. Hate that I had to get back to Houston because I was in that area, as I told you, Raleigh, and outside of that, would have found a way to stay around there, but certainly had my eyes watching that game. Good job by the Golden Bulls and the coaching staff. Wow, amazing. With that being said, let's go to Alabama State as they go down. They continue to win big in terms of what they got going on, improving to 8-2, 6-1 in the conference race, 41-3. They have 2 games remaining, so there's a shot to get to the 10-win mark, which would be fascinating to see. 1-9 in terms of Valley, 0-6 as they close out things, trying to find that elusive win, if you would, in conference play. But they have a tough road to go because they travel to Prairie View, who's on the list. But let's look at number 2, which would be the Jackson State Tigers at home. We alluded to the end of this game, but the official score with that pick 6, if you would, run 82 yards back and to seal the deal by Washington. The Jackson State Tigers just find a way to win, playing with a backup quarterback, freshman, but he is getting it done. 28-13, 8-2 and 6-1, 5-6, 4-3. Charles alluded to it. There might be some updates about the quarterback position. We'll see what that means for that game. Fascinating to see that the Tigers are getting prepared to be in what they believe is championship position. Front runners as have the elusive tiebreaker while they sit in the number 2 spot. Just how things roll, what's important to them at this point is the fact that they have the tiebreaker over the number 1 team because they beat them head-to-head on what I deemed before the game was played that lived up to it, the game of the decade. It came down to a final play as the Jackson State Tigers defense was able to hold the Alabama State Hornets offense out of the end zone. As we go back a little bit in our memory box, that game we thought was going to be crucial, and it looks like it's going down to be extremely crucial. But we do have a rivalry game that we'll talk about at the end of the game that should have your attentions. With that being said, let's get to the number 3 spot, which ultimately had championship implications on it, which was the South Carolina State Bulldogs. They played a top 17, which is the number 6 North Carolina Central Classic game. As I was there at that game live, man, it had the energy. Love to see it. Shout out to the MEAC in terms of getting it done. Friday Night Lights meant something in Carolina this past weekend as the South Carolina State Bulldogs come up the road to get it done against the North Carolina Central Eagles. 34-27. Game went back and forth. Big plays all throughout that game. Amazing. The Bulldogs improved to 8-3, 4-0 more importantly in conference play, setting up a big matchup, a de facto MEAC championship game against Delaware State next weekend. North Carolina Central, the Eagles fall to 7-4 and 2-2. Speaking of champions or championship games, you have Prairie View A&M Panthers defeating Pine Bluff. The way that you want to clinch is on your own terms and doing it in such a big framework. It was interesting to sweep. Charles, you do the media up there, but obviously you come down to the suites. We appreciate that. So you get to see kind of how sweet folks. Sweet folks are funny because it's not always like you get a mic in there that knows some football. Joe Clay, as you know, the sweet life are for those folks that are lower on the fan index. Well, I'm gonna take you back into your sports marketing class, Joe.
Yeah,
you know, lower on that fan index, right?
Casual.
So I always had these intriguing questions and sub frameworks, and they're trying to figure out and. You know, they support their team. They just do it differently. And they in that. You got these folks running around there. What's the tie scenario? What's the breakup? What does this mean? I've never had that many folks trying to figure out the scenarios, which was exciting. That many folks are realizing they got a football program and you can care about it. So it was good. You even had folks who like, man, I like this. Can we get to the 50 mark? So that last pass for the touchdown when they got to 56, everybody was celebrating. The fact that they put up 50, say, well, this is wonderful. But they did it in fine fashion. Shout out to Coach Jackson, the rest of the coaching staff and the players. Cam is playing really good. Got to see him afterwards to come by along with the coaches. So we appreciate them acknowledging Prairie View National Alumni Association. Shout out to the president, Huggins, in terms of what he's doing to make sure the momentum is there. Something that he's fought for all the time. And it just timing is everything as he's taking over first year of his presidency as the National Alumni Association of Prairie View A&M University. The pregame tailgate he's done over the last couple of weeks has went off well. A lot of folks in bringing different factions of Prairie View fandom and different organizations together. So shout out to Roosevelt Huggins for being able to get that done. But Prairie View defeats Pine Bluff. They fall to 3-7, 2-5, 56-9 as they do it in fine fashion. We talked about
Dr. Villa. After the game, question of the night. I'm engaged in conversation.
Hold on, Mike. Save that. Let me get through these scores.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Make sure you get full attention on that. At number 5, you have Delaware State Hornets. Improve, get it done as that picture. Acknowledge those that recognize in the Western Division champions. Big shout out to the Panthers. At number 5, that 5-spot score goes to Delaware State. They defeat Howard. That keeps pushing forward, trying to get it done. Delaware State, credit to them, they continue to win, but they're not winning as big as they did earlier. Howard is a backup quarterback. We'll see what that means. Ultimately, they got where they wanted to get to, which is to be able to play for a championship, which means they can earn a ticket, the bid, to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. as they will face off with the conference undefeated South Carolina State Bulldogs. The Hornets improved to 8-3, 4-0. They defeat Howard, that's 4-7, 1-3, 26-13. Number 6, we already talked about in terms of North Carolina Central, that tough loss they had, if you would. So let's go to Grambling in terms of the upset of the top 7, if you would. In a lot of people's mind, both of these teams were playing some really good football. Grambling came in, not so many players, and then in the game, the backup quarterback got hurt, so they were down even more. But testy game. Those that seen this, Charles has kind of brushed me up on this matchup as I've taken a deeper look and just realized it's a fascinating rivalry in its own way. The Braves improved to 5-6, 4-3. They defeat Grambling 7-4. They fall to 7-4, 4-3, 27-16. So now the Braves get to talk and have their chest out as they go and play Jackson State. We'll save that to the end while Charles gets a chuckle out of that.
I'm reading these comments. These comments are wild.
I got to respond to a couple of them.
I know it. They get into it.
Hey, there's some folks fired up J State around here.
Yeah,
fired up J State. Fired up.
Need to go to church and do some.
I love my fan base. I love them.
Exactly. Big Mike, I know you wanted to tell another story, so go ahead and tell your story before we let everybody else get their breakdown. Go right.
Oh, no, I'm reading the comments as well. Sorry, almost made me forget I was gonna say. Anyway, we down. Man, they cold. Anyway, so we down in the tailgate, and y'all, Dr. Cavil alluded to how how we had a great elaborate setup, and I could not go from one conversation to the other when I get a, hey Mike, come over here, man, run this through to me now. What we need to do. So you have to explain the elaborate tiebreaker that Dr. Cavil put out. Dr. Cavil sent this out, but what that really mean? Do I go to Atlanta? Do I go to Atlanta? I mean, folks get to drinking, and these questions come out. Mike, what that really mean? What that really mean? So anyway, that was my question of the night. Mike, what does that really mean?
Win, damn it, win. That's all it means.
Right. That's what I like to say. That's what I like to do too, Drew. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of these scores and what's going on in the chat box? You can go either direction you want.
Well, I was about to say, Doc, you don't unleash the Debo fan base or the swag. So I don't know what to tell you about these polls, but you take a look. I mean, I think
all they got to do is win. I tell them, don't worry about a poll. Poll is for us to talk, and it's working because they talking.
They talking, exactly. Let me give us some kudos to Alabama State. First time since 2013 that they've had an 8-win season. So they have an opportunity to, if they went out, to have their first 10-win season since 2004, which is the last time, incidentally, they won the SWAC championship. But, I mean, you go through, yesterday, that's a big win by Alcorn in terms of the momentum Grambling had. So now Alcorn has won, if I'm not mistaken, 5 out of their last 6 games. So, they have some momentum going into that Soul Bowl game against Jackson State next weekend. And, again, we give kudos again to Prairie View in terms of what they were able to get out and go do and win the SWAC West. Delaware State kept the momentum going. Can't say enough about South Carolina State and the North Carolina Central game because that was one of those games that was right up there in terms of the game of the year type situation. So you give kudos to those teams. So it's setting itself up for a really, really interesting next couple of weeks. We got a de facto MEAC championship. We got the Soul Bowl and SWAC championship. So man, this is fun. This is championship football. This is what you enjoy.
Charles, to your point, usually we try to do a New Year's show. And one of those things you like to do is, your top 5-7 moments of the year. This year, you might have to do 2. You might have to do one that's just related to football and make sure you don't forget the other sports. Because if you're not careful, you just do the one. Especially if you're doing a top 5 list, I could easily push 4 of the 5 being football games.
Yeah.
In terms of this year. what that took place when you
and this year,
and we're not finished.
Yeah, and this year we have to do a little something extra because bands week in week out are having viral moments, so they're having their their say within the whole tapestry, the whole environment of HBCU Sports Saturday. So shout out to the culture because week in week out we get an opportunity to take a snapshot of it and talk about it. But week in week out we're winning with regards to the football games, with regards to bands, with regard to everything that happens within this space.
Good stuff. Top 7, Drew.
And I know we're gonna get into it. We may have gone from who's on the ledge to who's on the hot seat. That may be the shift of the conversation.
And I don't know. And I usually be
actually
careful.
It has shifted.
I can't help this, and we don't have the Dr. Pepper hot seat either. So we're supposed to be like, I got a garage of Dr. Pepper. That's not gonna work around these parts. If we don't have that sponsorship, go ahead, Drew.
But that's number 1. Number 2, the nerds with the slide rules and the protractors and everything can go ahead and take the begin their Christmas break because of what happened yesterday. We don't need all that stuff. It's real simple. If a certain team wins, they are in. If they lose, they are out. In the BAC, Delaware State wins, they're in. In the BAC, South Carolina State wins, they're in next week. In the SWAC East, Jackson State wins, they're in. So, and even in the crazy scenario that both Jackson State and Alabama State lose and FAMU wins out with both teams having 2 losses, then Jackson State still wins that 3-way tiebreaker. And the only thing that happens at that point is that the championship game shifts west. So, the Nerds can pretty much take the rest of the year off and begin focusing on basketball playoff scenarios. And I got to answer this question, everybody. I've got to answer this question. And I'm just speaking in generality, everybody. Why Jackson State is number 2 versus Alabama State being number 1.
Don't do it yet. We're gonna release.
No. This is coming in. This is coming in. This has nothing to do with the new poll.
Yeah.
Okay. This is coming in. Okay. Number 1, Alabama State has a longer winning streak than Jackson State. That's number 1. Number 2, Alabama State lost to the then number 1 team, where Jackson State, when they lost to a then unranked Grambling State team. That's why most people have left Alabama State at number 1. Currently, we'll see how it plays out after the break. But I just want everybody to know those are when I poll other media members, those are the reasons why Alabama State was getting number 1 votes. Jackson State. Fired up, Jackson State. Understand your passion, but you gotta stop looking at it through blue lenses. You gotta look at this objectively. I know that's hard in Mississippi to be objective, but
AD Drew alone, they don't reflect the thoughts of the entire.
Hey, I would say this.
No, I'm just for those who voted Alabama State number 1.
Drew,
that's the logic.
Was a perfect job in terms of breaking it down.
No,
you could not have said it any better. But they don't care.
They don't like that.
I'm just giving you the logic. Don't answer y'all. I'm just giving you the logic.
That's the
problem. What you want to.
You are talking
right
about
there.
deaf ears.
You said the magic word. You're giving the logic.
You are talking
deaf, not logic. Their fandom has nothing to do with logic, so you don't have to worry about that. I know we're running long in the tooth. Say, man, don't be getting on my screen and putting that cuss words in there. We got children that watch this. What you doing? You can express yourself without putting up such language. Watch yourself, man. The quorum of the day. The quorum. You can be upset and say all your stuff, but watch the language. This is PG-13. Brother, I got a young son that enjoys the talk that we do. Some of y'all need to be better. That being said, quickly, Any helmet.
Dallas
We're gonna have to. Why is Jackson State on the ledge? We're gonna have to put Jackson State fans on the ledge. Top of the rankings, not the winning.
And they on top of the rankings and they on the ledge.
Sell it all on the field, but you on the ledge. Who helmet sticker, Mike? Any helmet sticker you want to do?
Oh man, I'm still reading these. Hold on, man. You can't
let me say that. Let me go ledge. Let me do the ledge, and then we'll at the end of the show, if we have time, we'll do that. Charles, anybody on the ledge you want to put on there? Don't put. Give me a favor. Do not put Jackson State on the ledge.
I was looking at the comments. I was close, but I would say that if you are a Virginia Union fan, if you're a Johnson C. Smith fan, an Albany State fan, your coaches are hot right now. Ooh, they hot. So,
you're right.
Fan base is on the
hot. We mean the frying pan hot.
Yeah. Like I want him hot. That type hot. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. Good stuff. Anybody else want to do ledge? Mike, AD, or you go ahead.
I'm gonna do a ledge at the Division II level. The Fayetteville State fan base. Is on the ledge because you guys are probably going to be left out of the playoffs due to some things beyond your control yesterday because you guys did not play an 11th game. And I can I give a quick helmet sticker?
Yes.
Okay, helmet sticker. Albany State in Super Region 1 and Super Region 2. Of all the teams that had championship games on yesterday, Albany State was actually the only favorite to actually win their championship game. Wow. So when you see the Division II playoff brackets come out tonight, you're going to see some chaos because some teams that were not ranked picked up the automatic bids yesterday. Wow. So you're going to see some real shuffling and some teams. SIAC team Benedict might be in trouble. Not because of what they have done on the field, but because of what everybody behind them did and these automatic bids. We thought we were getting 3 in. We may not get 3 in. So we got some SIAC, CIAA teams on the ledge until 6 o'clock tonight when we find out what the Division II what the Division II pairings are. So that's my on the ledge, Dr. Cavil.
Good stuff. That is a plug. Make sure you watch Sports Wrap with Brian and AD because they'll make sure that you have the updates. I certainly
might even come on early so we can predict it.
Okay. Keep it up. I
might come on 30 minutes early.
Make sure you check out the links that'll tell you when they on. They usually come on 5 o'clock Central 6. So a little bit earlier than that. Check it out 30 minutes early before that. So keep your clock in terms of what that looks like. With that being said, let's take our next break, come out here and get into this top 7 and see if we can get some real chaos going on. I will tell you this, no changes in terms of the top 7, but there are changes in the top 7. We'll see what that looks like on the other side.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
I just
Dr.
confirmed
Bill
with
with
Brian,
inside
Dr.
the
Bill,
HBCU
that
Sports
we will
Lab.
come on 30 minutes early tonight.
Okay, good deal. Go ahead. Say it again, Drew.
I said I just confirmed with Brian. We will start at 5:30 tonight so that we can get into these Division II playoff scenarios before they actually broadcast at 6 o'clock tonight on NCAA.com.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's get back into it. Let's pull up this week rankings so we can start to unveil that as week 12. As I told you, no one dropped out this week, but we do have some changes in terms of those receiving votes. Not only a team getting into the receive votes, but some changes in the rankings. We have Florida A&M Rattlers. They've been able to get some strong wins and line a couple of them up. They've improved to 5-5, 4-2 on the season. They jump up to the top team receiving votes with 140. Yeah, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats fall in terms of them going to 5-6, 4-3. Still outside receiving votes at 137. They fall 1 slot. And a new entrant in terms of those receiving votes, Alcorn State Braves, with their big victory over Grambling. They get it done 5-6, 4-3, 118 points in terms of getting that win at home. So let's get into the good part. The top 7. Who's in the rankings? Anything change here? Grambling had the loss to those Braves, but they found a way to stay in the rankings. They do lose quite a few points. So you can see that they're tilting a little bit there, but the Tigers come in with a record of 7-4, 4-3, 141 points. At number 6, North Carolina Central, even with their loss, they found a way to stay in the rankings, stay above Grambling, but stay in the 6th spot. They are at 7-4, 2-2 with 154 points. They lose a lot of points. They lose 10 points this weekend, so they're going in the wrong direction. So while there's not a change in the rankings in terms of the points compared to last week, they have changed there. At number 5, you have the Delaware State Hornets. They improved to 8-3, 4-0. But check this out. Somebody believes they should be at the top. They get a first place vote. One of the pollsters sent in with them ranked in the number 1 position. They have improved in terms of their point differential of last week, 184. Overall, they stay in the 5th spot, but just wanted to share a little bit of the details of what's going on here. At number 4, Prairie View and Panthers, 8-3, 6-1. Somebody has registered them in the top spot in terms of the voters. So you see some folks moving votes around. It wasn't enough to change anything at this point, but you got 1 first place vote. They improve in terms of 190 points, but they stay at number 4, bringing us to number 3. At number 3, Jackson State Tigers. They slide a bit. They keep their 2 first place votes at 8-2, 6-1, 202 points, but they slide from the 2 spot. So those Jackson State fans are really finna get into the popcorn machines. And sorry, Charles, because you're gonna have to be the negotiator of this, which probably obviously shows that there's a change in the 2 spot. We'll see who that is. At the 2 spot, we have South Carolina State Bulldogs. They move up 1 spot at 8-3, 4-0 in the conference race of the MEAC. They are earning 3 first place votes. They add a first place vote in terms of what that looks like. So somebody in the poll rankings has moved, it looks, from taking their first place vote away from Jackson State and giving it to South Carolina State. Probably just a matchup. Jackson State played Bethune-Cookman, was solid. Some people may have taken account that Bethune-Cookman was out 9 players. And playing at home game coming down to the wire may have cost. Be interesting to see. But South Carolina State taking care of North Carolina Central, top 7 matchup versus a top 10 matchup for Jackson State. Fascinating to see how that goes. But if you're Jackson State, no worries. You're in a championship hunt, and you certainly can prove everybody wrong. Just continue to win. And that's why we love the games on the field. But 3 first place votes for South Carolina State Bulldogs. They do move up a spot this week. Previous number 3, they move up to the 2nd spot. And they have 217 points to get it done, which means that number 1 remains Alabama State. 4th week, they are rolling at 8-2, 6-1, 5 first place votes, 219 points. So you could see a scenario, or at least for a week, where you have Alabama State number 1, but they don't even make the SWAC championship game. And at that point, it'll probably fall. You do see the fact that they are already losing. Somebody has took away a first place vote. So you start to see the slide in terms of the votes. I imagine with Jackson State officially winning the championship of the Eastern Division could change some people's votes if they get it done this Saturday. And we'll see what that looks like next week. But for this week, in week number 12, this is your top 7. I'm going to go ahead and go to you, Charles, first, so you can get your damage control out of the way. Top 7 mix here.
Well, obviously, I think, probably Jackson State should be up there in that regards. And it's no slight to
how far would you have them up? No, it's certainly not. It's your vote. You might have been one that voted them number 1.
Yeah, well, I personally think Jackson State would probably be the number 1 team coming into this week. Hard-fought victory over Bethune-Cookman. I think when you kind of take a look at the top 3 teams in the SWAC East, in Alabama State, Jackson State, and Bethune-Cookman, that's a slugfest. That's a slugfest between all 3. And I think when you take a look at the breadth of anybody within that top 5 on any day, Bama State, Jackson State, or Bethune-Cookman would have a damn good shot at winning. Anybody within the top 7, to be honest with you. So that's how front loaded that SWAC East is with regards to those 3 teams. So I probably can't come back to Jackson, but if I don't say Jackson State, will probably be my number 1 team.
I mean, that's fair. And I think you broke it down in terms of not just saying because you are a part of Jackson State in various ways. You have broken it down in terms of what they've done, looking at it overall in the season. And while I agree, I think the East certainly has showed its strength. I think this is the first year with the West has really showed that it's closed that gap. And this year, I think it's really close, particularly when you think about some of the injuries that play into this, right?
Sure, exactly.
Not to say that wouldn't have changed, but that's part of the game, and you can't just ignore it. You talk about a Texas Southern team that's fighting to get that 500. They went on the road and were right there with Alabama State.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see Bethune-Cookman without 9 players. They go on the road. They're right there with Jackson State. Alabama State went down to the last minute. Alabama State goes on the road to Prairie View, and that goes down to a field goal. So the depth of the top teams is a lot different, and I think a lot of folks are still in their history
through that. Yeah.
of what goes on versus really looking at the games. And you can understand that because folks look at scores maybe, but most of the time they focus on their team.
Yeah.
And they're not watching games like we need to do to make sure that we can deliver the updates from a media perspective. And certainly understand that folks cheer for their team and feel differently. Some folks believe Delaware State will win it all. Other folks don't think they're quite ready yet. But the good thing is, guess what? It's going to be played on the field.
It's going to be taken care of on the field.
Yeah, we can put all this to rest. But the thing is, we talk about this in such a way that other folks have an opportunity to see and put their information to it. And we do it for the fans so they can get their talk on no matter how they look at it. So we appreciate all the comments, no matter how much we agree or disagree with how they see it. But it's great commentary. 80 Drew, your thoughts on the top 7?
I need to correct one thing you said, Charles. The third place team in the SWAC East is actually Florida A&M, not Bethune-Cookman. You said top 3. Bethune-Cookman is actually sitting in 4th place right now. So
after they lost.
Yeah, after the loss. So want to get that out the way.
Which is going to make that Florida Classic that much more interesting.
It's going to make it that much more fun, yeah.
It really does because let's be real. No one thought FAMU would be sitting where they are, especially the way that they lost to both Jackson State and to Alabama State. But quiet as it's been kept, Florida A&M has won three in a row. So we just need to keep it out there. Speaking of winning streaks, Dr. Cavil, and although I actually understand Jackson State's complaint on this one, I mean they've got a complaint enough for not being number 1, valid from a Jackson State perspective. But them going down to number 3, boy, I actually can understand this one when they complain about this one. Except when you take a look at it, Dr. Cavil, of the 7 teams that are on the screen, South Carolina State has the longest winning streak, having won 6 consecutive games. So when you look at that, that may be what some of the pollsters were looking at. Not me. I want to say this. I'm gonna put this on the record. I still had Jackson State number 2, so y'all can at me on Jackson State being number 2, everybody. But South Carolina State number 2, I can actually see that. I will also say this: should Jackson State win Saturday and Alabama State win Saturday, because Alabama State season will essentially be over, I'm just giving them the wash against Tuskegee. I will flip my vote to making Jackson State number 1 because their season will be continuing on versus Alabama State's, whose season will essentially be over. The second longest winning streak on this screen, Dr. Cavil, is Delaware State. I personally have Delaware State at number 3, ahead of South Carolina State. You can argue that Delaware State should be above Prairie View A&M, but you're splitting hairs with that one. Also, at this point in time in the season, Dr. Cavil, it's very refreshing to see that every team on this screen has 7 or more wins. Yeah, that is refreshing. Although Grambling State's conference record leaves a little bit to be questioned, the fact that they have 7 overall victories. Yeah, everybody, y'all do forget that one was against the NAIA, one was against the Division II. But even still, yeah, that was my shot at y'all, Grambling State. Sneaky shot at you. But the fact that they have been able to get it done, it's going to be interesting, especially when you consider a week-to-week poll there, Dr. Cavil. And last thing, who thought we would see a Rattler sighting, even as far as receiving votes, Dr. Cavil, the way that all
Right.
of us have been on the orange and green this year. I never thought I would see it. And when I did my vote, I'm like, damn, I'm actually just to put FAMU back up in here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm gonna go down some schedules and just give you team victories and wins. Starting with Jackson State, since they're the talk of the town, remaining national champion. We did that. We recognized their championship. They did it on the field, no doubt, and left no questions to me last year. We're unanimous number one in many different polls. But if you look at 2025 season, their big win is a home win over Alabama State. What's the next best win?
The next best win for Jackson State.
Defeated Hampton. Defeated Tuskegee.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to kind of go through the schedule right now. Keep
that's why I'm gonna break it down so everybody can see it. Defeated Hampton, lost to Southern Miss, defeated Tuskegee, defeated Southern, defeated Alabama A&M, defeated FAMU, defeated Valley, defeated Bethune-Cookman.
Well, if we're propping FAMU, that's a hell of a win down there in Tallahassee.
All right. So best win is Alabama State. Second best win is FAMU.
Yeah, I would say one of the Florida schools.
And then
let's look at Alabama State. Then the third one is Bethune-Cookman. I agree. I'm just putting it out there so folks can see. Not trying to go in either direction. Just saying people can start looking down the season as you start to analyze. Alabama State's best win is probably Prairie View on the road.
Definitely.
Yeah.
See about their second best win. They defeat Southern.
FAMU.
Defeat Alabama State. Defeat FAMU. Defeat Bethune-Cookman. Defeat Alabama A&M. Defeat Texas Southern. Defeat Valley. What's their second best win?
I would say Texas Southern at the time that they played Texas Southern, because Texas Southern was hot at that point.
That's a good argument. So we can flip it 2 or 3. Bethune-Cookman at Texas Southern. All right. Let's go to Prairie View. For entertainment value only. Prairie View opened up with a literally last second win, much like Jackson State did over getting the stop, though. This one was offensively a win for Prairie View over Texas Southern. They defeat UT Grand Valley. Excuse me, they lose the Valley. Rio Grande Valley, or UT Rio Grande, I should say. They defeat Northwestern, defeat Grambling, defeat Alcorn, defeat Southern, Lincoln, whatever. Defeat Alabama A&M, defeat Pine Bluff. What's their best win?
Grambling to me. After
Charles, you agree with that?
Ooh. Yeah, probably would have been Grambling.
Second best win?
List them again real quick, Doc.
Sure. Texas Southern to open things up. Northwestern State, Grambling, Alcorn, Southern, Lincoln, California.
I'm probably
Alabama A&M and Pine Bluff.
I'll probably for entertainment purposes, I'd go out of conference. The win against Northwestern State was the one that impressed me at the time, because it showed me a level of physicality with regards to Prairie View's football team, and the fact that they were able to finish that game out. That to me set them on a different trajectory. No matter where Northwestern State is within their conference right now, again, we talk about out of conference wins in this conference being huge, and to me that was a victory that I had not seen from Prairie View over the past couple of years.
Good point. Good point.
I can respect that, but I got to go with Texas Southern because it was the first win, and it was a conference win. So for you to come in as a brand new coach into this conference and to pull off a W in your first game, wins are hard enough to come by, but when you win first time out against your
rivalry game,
game, I got to
I can
lean
go
a
with that
little
argument.
just a hair more towards that one, Charles.
Yeah, I can go with that argument.
Great stuff. Let's look at MEAC. We'll do just the top three. Keep this simple. Starting with South Carolina State. They have a win over Wofford, win over Bethune-Cookman. They have a loss to Charleston Southern. They have a win over Savannah State, win over A&T, win over Norfolk, win over Morgan, win over Howard, win over Central. We just saw. What's their best win?
Central Wofford.
Okay.
Central
Second best win. So you can flip for you either one of those, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
AE.
Give me those again.
South Carolina State over Wofford. They have a win over Bethune-Cookman. They have a win over Savannah State, win over A&T, a win over Norfolk State, a win over Morgan State, a win over Howard, and a win over Central.
Central won. Probably the non-conference Wofford would be 2.
Gotcha. Delaware State. Win over.
We already know what
Albany.
number 1 is, Dr. Cavil.
Win over Bowie State. Exactly. Win over St. Francis. Win over South Connecticut State. Win over Central. Win over Norfolk State. Win over Delaware State. Over Morgan State, and win over Howard. What's the best win?
Central.
Pretty easy. I agree. Second best win?
St. Francis, maybe.
I agree. AD, you in line?
Ditto.
All right. Last one will do Central. They probably have biggest tough losses than wins, but they got to win over Southern, win over Fayetteville State, win over A&T, win over East Texas A&M, win over FAMU, a loss to Delaware State, a win over Howard, win over Norfolk, a loss to South Carolina State, their best win.
80.
Do they really have a good win?
East Texas A&M, maybe?
Maybe East Texas A&M.
Yeah, on the road.
East Texas A&M on the road.
Yeah, on the road.
Win over FAMU, maybe, right?
Then probably FAMU.
You see where I'm saying when you start breaking it down this year, while you have a really lot of good teams, you don't have anybody that's necessarily dominated with big wins, more than 1, 2. So I think going down the stretch for those teams that are still in play, that are winning their conference, playing championship games, playing in the bowl game, it's going to be fascinating to see, because you'll really get somebody that's going to find a way to pull themselves out and make some statements at the end of the season in terms of where they are ranking, which kind of gives you why a lot of folks probably have different spreads in terms of who had a win at a certain time, when they had that win, is going to give folks different focus of what that looks like. So I want to do that quick exercise. We'll take our last break and come back on the other side and just go over a couple of big games. Then we'll call it a show.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image. A Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
We're gonna get in this and run it really quick. Talk about some of these key matchups. Some of these I think we don't have to go very long. I think the records just kind of show what they are. If not, we'll see some major upsets and see how we think about that. But the first one is number 1, Alabama State. They host Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's 3-7, 2-5, 8-2, 6-1. Y'all going with Hornets, I would imagine. Anybody has something that says hold on?
Bama State on them.
Yeah. Let's get into the next one where it really gets fun. This is the game. Another one of those games of the week. This is literally for it all. South Carolina State Bulldogs coming in 8-3, 4-0 after going on the road and getting a huge victory this past Friday. They set themselves up against a road game against number 5 Delaware State Hornets. 8-3, 4-0 surprise of the HBCU season for most folks, I would think. Huge matchup. All eyes at some point will be on this matchup, whether they watch it all or take peeks at it. Somebody's going to be looking for this. Sticking with you, Charles, what are your thoughts on this matchup? Who are you leaning towards?
I think a strong running game can get you to the Celebration Bowl. So I'm going to go Delaware State on this.
Upset of the year. You're talking about a magical season statement, not because of where they rank. They have every right to be there, but just the surprise on the run they have. First year head coach. Be interesting to see what that looks like. Charles says, out of the MEAC, you'll have a first-year coach, much like you did last year.
I don't know, by Tuesday, Thursday, after I kind of pour into
this was early now. It's way too early. You get a chance to dig into those.
I'm very thin on this one.
People died.
Yeah.
So you have the right to change if you see some other stuff. But I just think it's fascinating. But I think it's one of those games. I can see people changing 2 or 3 times this week. Which direction they're going. So it's going to be one of those type of games. 80 Drew, your early analysis of this game, which direction you going?
You do mention a strong run game, Charles. You act like South Carolina State does not have a strong run game.
That's why he was hesitating.
You saw I took a long pause. You know,
I mean, that
thing in my head, I'm like, well, Delaware State at home, but I could change that.
That's what you do. You scratch your head.
While although Delaware State would be the feel-good story of 2025, definitely maybe the best feel-good story of this quarter century, I've got to lean to the brother who has won 29 consecutive conference games. You know, when it counts against a conference opponent, Chennis Berry just does not lose. He has not lost a conference game since 2021. Going across 2 conferences on 2 different levels. So until proven otherwise,
that's a good point.
I've got to lean with Chennis Berry and the South Carolina State Bulldogs in this one.
Man, you talking about a coach. We talking about the Riverboat gamblers that we, doodling them over the years. He did the outside kick in that game. He went forward on 4th and 1 at the goal line. So that's the other part that you don't necessarily think about Chennis Berry. But he has the ability to say, I'm going to run it. And when I mean running, I'm talking about domino type card games. Let me see and shuffle it up. So fascinating what that looks like. So I'm with you. This is the intriguing matchup. It'll be interesting to hear what everybody has to say when they break these games down. Obviously, Sports Wrap, HBCU Nightly, a couple of other ones out there. It's going to be fascinating as this thing gets closer to the week after the media comes up. You'll probably get some points coming out of the coaches' talks. I'm sure they'll be close to the vest as much as possible, but people might be able to find something to pull out of that to get some lather going. With that, let's get into this next matchup. It's a top 10 matchup. It's a team that is fighting back. It's won 5 out of 6, 4 straight games, rivalry. It is in Jackson. So there's some ways to build this up. I don't know if it's really going to be one of those games to build up, but it's going to be interesting. Braves come at 5 and 6, 4 and 3. At number 3, Jackson State Tigers. And that number 3 could easily be number 1. Certainly, we saw it as number 2 just last week. So this is a championship level team, championship level, national championship level team just for last year, trying to run it back. It's at 8-2, 6-1. And they go in this game understanding they need this to continue. They want to play for a championship. They win this, they clinch the East. So a lot on the line with this matchup. Drew, where are you?
Hell, I done already pitched Jackson State off, so I'm gonna go for the ultimate festivity. I'm calling Alcorn State an upset.
Wow, that would be one for the ages. Charles, save us all.
Yeah, I think Jackson State wins, and that Jackson State wins going away. I don't bet against TC Taylor with regards to trying to get to the championship game. And we saw yesterday, if all else fails, you just gonna run the football, and they got the horses to run the football. They will use that offensive line to play defense. Old Pete Richardson football, punt and play field position, and let the defense do what it needs to do and run football. So yeah, I think Jackson State gets this and they get back in the SWAC championship game.
Good stuff, Charles. It'll be fascinating to see what this looks like. Let's go to number 4, and we'll just kind of get through some of these. I think they're off the grid for various reasons. Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils 1-9, 0-6. Prairie A&M Panthers 7-3, 5-1. Other than letting down the laurel so much that they give Valley the first win, you see any of that happen in this, Charles?
Nah. The Prairie View is locked in and focused. I like the focus that Coach Jackson has brought to Prairie View and the no nonsense approach. So there's no way they get caught off guard.
Yeah, and that should be 8-3, 6-1 as they have the final game. Drew, you with Charles on it?
Seniors will get to play in this particular game. Even some of those seniors who don't normally get to play will play in this game with this being senior day. But get your cameras out early because most of your frontline players will be sitting early in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, Central at Morgan State. Morgan State gets the first win. Central is coming off a huge letdown. They're on the road. Is this any trouble for the Eagles, or did they go ahead and get to that 8 wins to close out stuff?
They still got something to play for. So, yeah, I think they get to 8 wins.
Drew?
I agree. Central, hoping that they could get a bid to the FCS playoffs. Don't think it's going to happen, Joshua Sims Sr., but at least they want to put themselves in position so that if somebody else slips up, they will be in the conversation.
Want the resume to look good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next matchup, fascinating. When you get to these kind of off the grids, 8-9 matchups, so they're just outside the top 10. So these are teams that played well this season at times, not so well at other times. Bethune-Cookman wants to close out the 500. FAMU has 2 games left because one of them rescheduled with Valley. You'd imagine even though they go to Valley, they'll get that. So if they can get this victory, they have a chance to have a winning season instead of just being 500. You think about what intrigues you about this matchup with teams that are trying to close out strong that are certainly outside of the championship race?
The fact that Bethune-Cookman can get out the quarterback, and number one, defensive line can get out the quarterback. Cam Ransom, I think he's the X factor in this game going into this against Florida A&M. So hell, Bethune-Cookman can go into this week and say, hell, we went toe to toe with the defending Black College national champions, and it took an interception for them to get away with a win. So that I think that's a lot of momentum going in up against FAMU.
They should be getting 9 players back. Obviously, with 3 to get 2 games. We didn't know which team, but I imagine they were Grambling. But it could still be Bethune-Cookman, 1, 2, 3 of those players. So keep your eyes on that in terms of what that looks like. Most of their key players they did have in that game. And let me correct this before I go to Drew, get Drew's thoughts. Technically, FAMU is still in the race. They need a lot of things to go their way because it could be a 3-way tie at 4-2. They get this victory. They need Valley to do the upset. Pine Bluff to do the upset of the year against Alabama State. And then, obviously, not as the same level upset, but the Braves. But it'd be fascinating because they're still trying to finish strong. So, Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? You've seen it over the years in different ways. Usually one of these teams is fighting for a championship in the race. This is a little different with teams trying to get some momentum to close out the season and look forward to next year anyway. Go ahead, Drew. Is that a purpose pause?
All right. I'm sorry. I don't know if you were buffering. I was buffering there, Dr. Cavil. Yeah. I'm really not concerned about the game on the field, Dr. Cavil, because when these two rivals get together, it is what it is. The team that's supposed to win oftentimes does not win this particular game. And I don't even know who's supposed to win this game this year, honestly, Dr. Cavil, because these teams have been hot at 2 different times in the season. Right. They have been garbage at 2 different times in the season. So what I am interested in this particular matchup, Dr. Cavil, is halftime. Because say what you want to, but when these two bands get together, the petty that goes on between these two bands during the halftime show in this particular classic, that's why they call it a classic. It's not about the game on the field. It's when these two bands get together. That the Marching Wildcats and the Marching 100. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Just that 25-minute halftime and see who's going to up the other one when it comes to the petty. And can Joe Bullitt stay within the bounds? Because he's gonna say something ignorant, y'all. But can he stay within the bounds, everybody?
Yeah, you don't want another fight.
Y'all hell on these Florida bands. I promise y'all.
So we'll go these last 2 matchups. No comments needed. I just bring them to the floor. We have Alabama A&M 4-7, 1-6 at Texas Southern Tigers 5-6, 4-3. Credit to the Bulldogs. You can tell that they're not just closing the season. They're trying to play it out with some solid games. But Texas Southern can send the seniors out with a win and get to 500, close out on the season as they build the next year. In with a winning record in terms of conference play. Imagine that's a lot. But then you have Norfolk State Spartans of 1-10, 0-4 at Howard Bison 4-7, 1-3. Spartans' last chance to get a conference victory and get a Division I win. Be interesting to see, can they do it against Howard? That's still fighting, but with a backup quarterback, it'll be kind of interesting. Same with Spartans, a backup quarterback. So a lot of attrition in this particular game. Some may have some betting odds on this more than anything. But with that being said, let's get in here and close it out. Thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. That is Sunday at 9. Look forward to next week as we discuss the latest in the news in the lab. We will crown the Eastern Division. We will know by next week who is in the SWAC championship game. We will also know who will earn a bid to the cricket Celebration Bowl. So it'll be fascinating talk next week as we'll get some final pins on the season. We'll see who is in the top 7. We'll see what type of changes will potentially change in the top 7. Will things start to correct themselves next week? On Thursday, you'll see some of these other polls where we went back in the polls all the way back to the year after COVID. And the question I want people to ponder at this time is it time to expand either from a conference perspective? People may have heard with the Big Ten, SEC, where there was some talk early about the championship weekend where you had some matchups. They went 6 teams deep. Obviously, 1 versus 2 would play for the conference championship, but they would have matchups against 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5. Is it time to look at that? Maybe not as deep as 6, but deep as 4. And is it time to look at adding a additional postseason bowl game to allow some of the other teams that had solid seasons? Because we could have a scenario where you got a 10-win Alabama State Hornets on the outside looking in. You have a team such as Delaware State or South Carolina State on the outside looking in. That'd be an interesting matchup, if you would, if things go that way in terms of postseason play. So we'll get a chance maybe to discuss that a little more on Thursday. So Charles, go in your data bag. Make sure you tell Mike to go in his data bag and start looking. AD Drew, always prepared to look at chaos. So with that being said, that'll do it for us for the show today. And as we like to close, dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Drew?
Lecture.
Dismiss.